Welcome back everyone to another one of my lovely Cricut tutorials where I will be showing you exactly how to print and cut with double-sided printing. And if you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, here's just 2 samples of when I use this technique. So without further ado, let's get this tutorial started. Last time you guys saw that I use these for these wavy invitations. If you missed that video, make sure you click the comment to jump back. Essentially, think of this as a part 2 to that video. We designed in Canva, we downloaded, we uploaded back into Design Space, and now we're scaling it down to the size we want for our invitation. As you can see, I now have the front and back set up. Now what I typically start off doing is taking the back and putting it right underneath the front. Once you have that, you want to select both of these images. Hold down shift and click each image and it will select both at the same time. Then you want to move up to the top toolbar and look to see where it says align. In here, you're going to have a bunch of different options to choose from. For this, we want to center horizontally. As you can see, it wasn't perfectly centered, so it just kind of snapped it into that place. Now with both of them still selected, right click and hit attach. Then I'm hitting Command D to duplicate this and then I'm dragging it over to the right side. Now we want to make sure these are also aligned with each other, so with the click and dragging over this, it's going to select everything for me. I'm going to come back up to the top where it says align, and then this time I'm going to do center vertically. As most of you know, I love to save paper, so I'm going to make sure I'm using most of my space. Since I can barely see the white on the grid, I'm just going to add a black square behind it just so I can kind of adjust things as I need to. Now the only space I'm worried about is the 2 tops and the 2 bottoms. I just want to make sure they're as close as possible, so I'm going to pull that in a bit. I want to make sure I'm still seeing some of that background just so I know my cut isn't overlapping each other. When I feel that's in a good space, I'm going to go over to the right and I'm actually going to detach my attachment. Instead of having the top and bottoms attached, I actually want side to side to be attached. So I want the front of my invitations to be together and I want the back of my invitations to be together. I know this seems pretty obnoxious to do, but I promise you it's the easiest and simplest way to make sure everything is aligned. When it comes to this feature, it is very crucial to make sure everything is squared up with each other because it will not print correctly if you don't do this right. And yes, I'm going to stress that you need to make sure you're not accidentally moving anything because that will cause an error. That also includes when you go and click make to not move this right now. If you can't tell, this is dead center and you want to make sure that does not move. And on the second page, you're going to notice it's the same exact place. Then I'm going to select continue and then send to printer. For print setup, make sure you have the correct printer selected. Since this design does not have any border or design around the edges, I'm just going to remove the bleed, but I'm going to turn on system dialog. This window will pop up behind Design Space, so make sure you check for it there. I always recommend selecting this option because it's just going to allow you to play with more of the finer details when it comes to your printer settings. Since I am using a shimmer metallic kind of paper and it does have like a glossier finish, I'm just making sure I'm changing my paper settings to that. Usually paper settings are under media and quality. Then always put your quality to best. Now before you go ahead and click print, we want to go over and set up our paper. I just load the paper in normally. There's nothing special you need to do for this. Then I go over to my desktop and I select print. Now because I have a rear facing tray, I'm just going to take my paper out and I am just going to flip it. I'm not doing any other special turns, just going right back in because I want it to print the same exact direction on the opposite side. This won't print automatically. You need to go back over to your desktop and select that second page and then send to printer. And then run through your printer settings the same exact way we just did. And already just by glancing at this, you can kind of tell that it is centered. The real test will obviously be when you load this into your Cricut. Depending on what paper you use, go ahead and select your material. I know the Explorer, you're going to use your dial to do this. And I always leave the pressure on default for this with my cardstock paper and it always does a good job. You may have to test it if you're doing a different paper option. Also, it does not matter which side of the paper you choose to have this cut from. If you did this correctly, the cut marks will be in the same exact spot no matter which page you choose. And after you've done that, you should have a perfectly aligned design, whether it's the front or the back. Hopefully this gives you the confidence to go ahead and try this on your own.